I think the math is a little bit more straightforward when it comes to this match.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I completely forgot that everyone started an hour late because of DreamHack China.
Yep.
Literally an hour late. Like, if it wasn't for that, we would be perfectly fine on schedule. Like, shaking my head, mate. Shaking my head.
Well, it wouldn't quite be DreamHack if a broadcast wasn't delayed because another broadcast ran a little bit over schedule.
Shaking my head, shaking my head. Also, interesting that you say that like this one is a little bit more straightforward. Group D is the most diverse when it comes to positioning, not necessarily who can qualify, but positioning.
I say it's the most straightforward because I'm hoping you would pick up on it and do the math for me.
You're like, take it away, lights, go for it. Oh god.
In all seriousness, though, Vanya does have a pretty decent chance of making it through, provided he wins the series. Now, his positioning or his chances of making it out are a little bit dependent on Geralt versus Shutdown, as they both have the same series score, the same map score difference.
Yeah.
But as long as Vanya wins 2-0, then I think he's going to be a little bit ahead. I believe that he beat Geralt earlier on in the group stage.
I think even whether it's 2-0 or 2-1, I think regardless, Vanya just needs to win. If he doesn't, though, then Geralt has a good chance at making it through.
He does.
Yeah.
And I just checked in the head-to-head, Geralt is actually the one who beat Vanya, so...
Ooh.
Yeah, if they both score the same result, if they both get 2-0 or 2-1 or what have you, Geralt will be the player to advance. But if Vanya just has one more map win than Geralt, that's all he needs to make it out.
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be quite close between Vanya and Geralt. Especially because I'm just actually looking, Geralt has one less loss compared to Vanya, so that's actually a little bit scary. To be honest. Yeah, so...
But they're both using this up to 0, funnily enough.
It's very true, yeah. You know, you're not wrong, actually. So it doesn't matter that he has one less loss.
Don't ask me about math.
Because he has one less win as well. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. Oh, God.
How does that work? I'm assuming Geralt got a couple of 2-0s, but also got 0-2'd. But then Vanya got a bunch of 2-1s, but also got 1-2.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Something along those lines. But we, of course, are slowly getting into our game here. And the reason why we were excited to dive into this ZVP specifically is I do like that we have kind of seen different faces of ZVP this stream, you know, throughout match after match. We've had a decent amount of it, but we've seen the players have very different approaches to it.
Yeah, from Laser's wall of static defense into Brute Lords to Hellraiser's very Skytoss intensive styles, specifically Tempest heavy styles. And now Vanya versus Rail, I fully expect something a little bit different. Vanya, a player who I always expect to be very active on the map, whether it's with Zerglings or with Roaches.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, how we haven't really seen too many, like, Queen Roach pushes. We saw one last series, but that was more of a reaction than anything else, because sort of was forced into it. It wasn't necessarily, like, something that he did comfortably. Meanwhile, we could see, or we should be seeing some more aggressive play from Vanya. He is taking his 4th base, to be fair, but yo, Rail approaching this very differently with only a single Stargate.
I like how that's very differently, but funnily enough, it is based on what we've seen here tonight. A much quicker Robo-Bay coming out from him.
Yeah, exactly.
But also a second Stargate, what?
Yeah, so we're going to be seeing Disruptors, but there's a twist to it, because we're seeing Disruptor drops come out, mate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tribes is on the way, so... Rail, as the game goes on, does sort of focus a bit more on his Skytoss army, but for now, he does sort of get these Disruptors out for harass.
Exactly, like, his goal here is to utilize these Disruptors to disrupt the economy of Vanya and keep Vanya busy at home. Exactly. But I'm concerned because, again, if he whiffs these initial Novas, like... I've seen Protoss players just fall over, mate. It's like it's not pretty.
Yeah, if he doesn't quite get the drones, then Vanya knows exactly what Rail is going for, even behind the initial harass. He leaves his Warp Prism and the Disruptor vulnerable to getting picked off. All depends on the Queens, whether or not they're in position, and they are by this 4th base. They will see the Warp Prism and immediately pounce on top of it.
Jesus, already all the shields are gone on the Warp Prism, takes a little bit of hull damage, and Rail is forced back. And this is what I was concerned about, like investing this much, not just, bearing in mind, a Warp Prism, a Disruptor, and Warp Prism speed, and for nothing to be gotten from it, like that's disastrous. To be fair, he didn't lose the Warp Prism. That would have been worst case scenario. He still has it alive. There's still potential for it to get some value.
Yeah, he does sort of put his economy behind a little bit because of that opening, but at least he doesn't fall on his face, right?
Yeah, like
he's behind but not on the floor.
Yeah, what he disrupted there was he delayed his own Stargate production, his own Void Rays. He only has a single Void Ray. The other interesting thing, because I just assumed that he was going to go massive Void Ray, is that he's going for Phoenixes.
Well, he's going for Phoenixes because he Luke scouted the Spire, didn't he?
I mean, Corruptors are what you want against Phoenixes. Exactly. Are we causing patience right now? Are we?
Well, he scouted the Spire come out, so he assumed that it was going to be Mutas. He didn't see the Corruptors yet.
It's true. It's very true.
And Vanya, meanwhile, he knows that Rail knows about the Spire.
The big brain plays question mark is Vanya's going to be going across now with these Corruptors, and there's nothing to stop them from pissing on some buildings or from diving on top of the Phoenixes even.
Yeah, Phoenixes unfortunately don't do too well against armored units like Corruptors.
Yeah, and there's only...
especially ones with a lot of health.
Yeah, and there aren't that many Void Rays either, unfortunately. Meanwhile, here we go, the Corruptors, they dive in, they focus on the Void Ray immediately.
Ooh, Shield Battery is able to prolong its life long enough to take out one Corruptor as well. Reinforcements coming in. I don't believe he has Blink yet. He doesn't. He doesn't have a Twilight Council, I just realized.
Yeah, he skipped it, made no Twilight Council. The second Void Ray goes down. The third Void Ray is going to get picked off as well. The Warp Prism is even vulnerable. Oh, God. Oh, he's going to get it!
It will get picked off, just like so. That's all Vanya really wanted. For these many Corruptors.
Yeah, exactly. At the same time, we've got a Ling Roach Force hitting the third base. Thankfully, there is a wall and there is static defense, so it's going to take a while to really push on through. But yo, there's a Cosmic Spray on the fourth.
And it's pulling the army of Rail back and forth. Thankfully, there is enough static defense towards the north to chase away all of these Lings and all of these Roaches. But there's nothing to the south.
Oh, God, exactly. And it's one of those things where the Phoenixes so far have done nothing. The Warp Prism did nothing as well. Corruptors are diving in once again. These Void Rays are so vulnerable. Like, they're not in high enough number.
Yeah, Vanya's about to be maxed out pretty soon. Rail effectively fighting with half his army.
Meanwhile, okay, a little bit of an overextension. The overcharge. Oh, never mind. He goes out of overcharge range, and two of the Void Rays get picked off. Three. It's again. They get reset.
Out of overcharge range. Yeah. And with the overcharge, it's enough to two-shot the Void Rays. Phoenix is still here trying to get something done, but they ain't finding it.
The one thing I'm concerned about is that Vanya is not stopping Corruptor production. It's like,
Well, he's getting a hive, so eventually he can get some Brute Lords. Eventually.
True. Eventually.
Only a bit of a laser here.
Yeah. Oh my God. Meanwhile, the Ling run by is going to try and take down the static defense, but the Disruptor, actually whiffs. Ooh. Nice split there by Vanya.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Corrosive Vials do land on top of the cannons. Is just chipping away at that wall with his Lings. He's more than fine to sacrifice the Lings. Maybe not yet, anyway. Because it is going to take a while before getting the Brute Lords out, sorry.
Yeah, meanwhile, oh my God, nice snipe on the Disruptor before the Purification Nova goes off, but the ground army of Vanya is getting swatted away. Meanwhile, there's nothing to contest against these Corruptors.
Yeah, these Stalkers not quite gonna cut it. A couple of Void Rays come out now, but even then, it's not really making a dent in the army. No, it's starting to.
Yeah, I mean, Vanya's forced back, I guess, and Rail still has a single Void Ray. Oh no, I spoke too soon. Oh God!
And a single Void Ray. Oh! Battery overcharge is gonna keep it alive, and Vanya has just about lost most of his Corruptors.
Yeah,
He's lost 33 throughout this entire game.
And mate, they paid for themselves. They've done so much for Vanya. Now his Ling Roach Ravager army is pouncing on top of all these Immortals. They're gonna go down. There's nothing left to stop him. GG gets called, and Vanya takes the first game.
Didn't even finish his Greater Spire.
Oh my god, that was brutal.
It really was. What did we tell you? Vanya will always be active on the map. Not necessarily aggressive, but he can be, if this game proves anything.
Oh my god, that was beautiful what Vanya was able to execute there. As you were saying, you know, like, sure, he was working on some kind of tech. Rail unfortunately misread the situation a little bit, assumed that mutas were coming out, went into Phoenixes, which is exactly what Vanya wanted, because he had the Corruptors, and with those Corruptors, he just took down everything, mate. Like, he got so much with them. It was insane.
Really did. Not only was he able to caustic spray almost every base, not necessarily kill them, but it was enough to really cause enough of a panic that Rail didn't know how to position his army. He was sending his army south to deal with the Corruptors. That left the north vulnerable to all of those roaches and zerglings, and sure, he had some cannons. Corrosive also care about cannons.
They don't, mate. They don't. And sure, you could argue that, I mean, Vanya never really got into a mineral line, but he just kept trading so efficiently against the army itself, and he kept denying that fourth base over and over again. Like, that was... it was impressive what Vanya was able to do with that army composition. It's not something you see too often.
Especially because 33 Corruptors, you don't expect that to be the most efficient use of supply, but Vanya found a way. And speaking of which, we are continuing our series on Jagannatha LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. The red Zerg player coming out from the land of Russia is going to be representing Good Game Gaming. GGG! We have Vanya.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have the Russian Protoss player. He is blue, representing Team 3D Clan. It is Rail.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, Light, because there's a chance that Rail still wins the series, and there is a chance that even if Vanya wins the series, he doesn't advance out of the group. But it's been a pretty good day for GGG.
Yeah, it really has, with Cyan doing well earlier, and now Vanya doing well here. As you were saying, we don't want to jinx anything, right? But GGG, a very, very nice, solid pickup with a player like Vanya. I remember when you first heard it, it was like, really? Like, it was a little bit out of left field.
But now he's doing the team proud.
That he is.
And let's just say, of all the teams that have a G in their name, like, that came out from the Chinese scene, whether it's Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Trumpet Song way back in the day, Kaisi Gaming,
Bravestar,
GGG, Bravestar Gaming back in the day. Actually, is Bravestar Gaming still a thing?
Oh god, no.
It isn't. Yeah, it isn't anymore. GGG is up there purely on meme potential.
Yep, pretty much. Because why not just add all those G's together? Oh god.
I remember a time when we first heard of it, we were like, is this a joke team? But it's one of the teams that's still standing strong.
Yeah.
TSG.
Turns out that DPG was the joke team. If you recall.
DPG's still around.
It is still around.
It is. It's arguably the strongest.
Yeah. Fun fact, the story behind those initials was that DPG, as in saying it that way, DPG, means something in Chinese, and it's not necessarily the best thing. So they snuck that in there.
Nice.
Yeah. So
how do you know more Mandarin than me?
I'm pretty sure it's like that may be either trivia on Wikipedia or it was in an interview. Yeah.
That's amazing, actually.
But yeah. Meanwhile, we are slowly getting into this game, and yo, for the first time, we have a Twilight Council opening. Let's go.
I'm keeping my eye on that. We did see
Strange
go for a Twilight Council opening, didn't he? But when Strange did it, he went for DTs.
True.
Rail is going immediately into Blink Stalkers. This shouldn't be surprising, Light. but for some reason it is.
Well, I mean, this is just
start for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is just not in the meta anymore. Like, back in the day, it was. I say back in the day, like in 2020, back in
back in my day,
or maybe it was 2019 actually. Back when Darkness was competing. Darkness and Stats. Well, Stats popularized it, going for these Blink Stalkers and transitioning into Disruptors. But yeah, we'll see how Rail executes this. He's throwing down a lot of gateways, mate.
He is. He's actually fully walling himself off.
Yeah.
That Robo is only going to be for War Prism, isn't it?
I mean, unfortunately, everything's going to get scattered because there's the cancel. Like, the Stalker was walled out. the Stalker couldn't chase down this Overlord because it was on the wrong side of the wall.
And that mistake could cost Rail the game if Vanya is able to react in time. But he sees 4 gates, a research on the Twilight Council. He sees something being produced from the Robo facility. He isn't entirely aware that it's going to be Blink Stalkers, but he knows something's coming his way. For all he knows, it could be Charge Hunts, it could be Glaive Adepts.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to... actually, no, he actually didn't confirm the gases at the Naturals, so he is a little bit in the dark here. But regardless, he does know that it's going to be a gateway focus push, so he is getting ready with Lynx and with Roaches, so regardless, he will have an army to receive this.
Yeah, 14 Lings already on the way. Speed fished up a while ago. And that should be enough of a tell.
Yep.
3 Stalkers this far forward. It's got to be Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, exactly. And because that Lings are exactly what you need, Roaches as well. Like, Vanya is working on nothing but army. He has stopped droning up. And he is ready to go toe-to-toe with Rail. Meanwhile, Rail throwing down an additional gateway. All in on here on 2 bases.
Yeah, there's no way we see a 3rd base from him, is there?
Exactly. 7 gateways, 7 gates. Is it going to be enough? He has to be careful not to get surrounded. Of course, he does have Blink.
Yeah, but that can only be used once. At least when the Stalkers are still on creep. Lings are fast enough to chase down the Stalkers, even after they blink like so. They still get a bit of a surround. The Biles, unfortunately, getting a little bit whiffed. But the Stalkers are getting dealt with a little bit. Fighting off creep can be a little dangerous. Oh, but I see that War Prism is in such a precarious position.
Exactly. The Protoss army was forced all the way back to the reinforcement point. The Lings, as I was saying, is exactly what you need here. Because Stalkers, mate, they don't do well against Lings. And Vanya swats this away, mate.
Wow. And now we're at 51 army supply for Vanya versus the 25 of Rail. I will say that as long as Rail is off creep, he can try to micro against the Zerglings, right?
But Vanya just has so much momentum. That's the problem. Like, he traded so well, and GG gets called.